Okay, so we're going to start out with the eyeshadow because I prefer to do it first. That way if anything falls out, you're not ruining your foundation. So I'm going to start with a primer. That way our eyeshadow lasts all night. And this is just the e.l.f. primer, so it's probably $2 to $3. And it's called the Shadow Lock Eyelid Primer. Alright. So I'm just going to put a little bit on her eyelid. And then you can just use your finger to dab that in, or if you have a beauty blender, sponge, anything like that. So next we're going to go in with, I like to call this a transition shade. We have our two eyeshadows that we'll be using this year, but in order to blend them together, you need a shade that's similar to your bronzer color. So here I'm just using this color right here. It's just a really light brown. It's very neutral. So I'm just putting this on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to blend that into her crease. You can tap off some of the excess. Alright, so we have a little bit of dimension to her eyes right now, and I'm going to go in with the darker brown color that we were given by Yofi. So I'm going to go in. This one is more just going to be in the outer V of your eye, so like right here. And tap off some of that excess because this is very pigmented. So I'm going to clean off this brush or just grab another fluffy brush and just go in and blend that as much as I can. Alright, so we're ready for our goldish shade. And this is going to go all over your lid and just under your brow bone. And I'm using just a flat brush for this. You can also use your finger. And you don't need as much for under the brow bone, so if you want to tap a little bit off onto your hand. And again, we're going to blend, blend, blend. So now we're going to go in with the glitter that we were given. A little bit goes a really long way with this. So I even just use, if there's some in the cap still, you can just dip your finger. I honestly like to use my finger for this part. And you're just going to go in the inner half of her lid and into the inner corner with this. So now I'm going to go in with some eyeliner. For this look, for football season, we're not doing a wing. So you're just going to draw a straight, thin line across the eye. We're going to let that dry for a little bit. For this next part, you're going to take your darker shade and just like a thin angled brush, you're going to look up and just tap this right as close to your lash line as you can. As you can tell, there's barely any product going on. This is just to give you a little bit of definition. Next, we're going to go in with some mascara. Even though we're putting on eyelashes, we still need to wear mascara because that's what's going to blend your natural eyelashes with the fake ones. For right now, I'm just using a pair of eyelashes that I have for myself, but for the whole football season, we will be using these Yofi eyelashes. I didn't want to use mine quite yet, but these are fairly similar. So every person's eye shape is a little bit different. You're going to want to take the eyelash, set it on your eye, and make sure that it's not too big. It's not going to be hanging off the end of your eye. If so, you're going to want to take some scissors and trim it. I use the Duo glue, so you're just going to barely line the top of your lash with this glue. And here's the key for putting on eyelashes. You're going to want to wait at least 30 seconds because this needs to get tacky. Otherwise, it's going to be wet and sliding all around. It's very difficult to put on. So we're going to wait like 30 seconds and we'll be right back. So it's been about a minute and this glue is ready to go. It's tacky, not too wet. And I'm just going to put this right on her eye. So really you're aiming to place this on her eyelashes. You're not aiming to place them on her eyelid. I just place it right on. And if you waited long enough with the eyelash glue, you should really just have to tap it into place. Perfect. Okay, we're going to go in with our next eyelash. Alright, so this eyelash is ready to go. I'm going to tap it on the other side. Okay, so I like to go in with eyeliner right back over the eyelash because the glue can sometimes look a little strange colored. So our eyes are basically done. If you normally filling your eyebrows, this is when you would do that. I recommend that for sure. I'm just going to go in with a natural brown shade that matches Mason's color. Alright, so eyes are all done and we'll be back with our foundation. Really, any brush works for foundation. You can use a flat brush, oval, just a buffing brush, or you can even use a beauty blender. But I'm just going to go in with my Real Techniques brush and some MAC foundation that matches her skin tone. Mason doesn't need much. And we're just going to blend that. Make sure that you're blending all the way down to your neck. You definitely don't want one of those lines right across your jawline. And if you have extremely oily skin, there are primers that you can put on before this foundation step. Next, we're going to come in with some concealer under her eyes. If you have a breakout or problem areas, this is a good time to just kind of blot it on there. I take my beauty blender and I'm just going to blend this right out. For those of you that have oily skin, this is my favorite step. It's definitely optional, but we like to call this baking. You're going to take some loose powder and a small brush. I just use Bare Minerals loose powder. And you're going to tap it on. You're not even blending this out. It's going to look a little bit crazy. And then I'm going to place this anywhere she gets oily too. So in the T-zone, your forehead, down the nose, your chin. All those areas are perfect. So while that's baking, we're going to take our bronzer. I just use this e.l.f. palette. I think it's great. It has 4 different colors. Complements most skin tones. And I just have a big fluffy brush. I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to blend it. We're not really contouring for this look at all. We're just blending it right down her cheeks to give her some color. Less is definitely more with this. I'm going to take a little bit on the outsides of her foreheads too. And right at her hairline. So we're looking nice and natural. Now we're going to go in with some blush. I just use the Warm Soul by MAC, but really any color works. As long as it's nice, soft, not too bright, but complements your skin tone. We're going to go in with lips. I have this MAC red liner. This year, make sure we're wearing an actual red. Colors that won't really be acceptable are burgundies, purples, such as like this. Any wine color we're not really looking for. We really want a bright red. And I'm going to go in with, this is Ruby Woo by MAC. Alright, so just going to rub that together. And now it's time to wipe away our baked powder. So just kind of sweep it away, any of the excess. And this is a good time for you really just to take a brush and blend out everything. Make sure there's no harsh lines. And that is our finished look for football season. Follow our next video for the hair.